Saturday afternoon for baseball in Nashville, Tennessee, and Game 2 of a 3-game series between the Vanderbilt Commodores and the UIC Flames in weekend number 3 of the 2021 college baseball season. Good afternoon, everybody. Max Hers alongside former Commodore Andrew Harris. And Andrew, Vandy comes out last night, takes care of business on offense and defense in a 15-0 win.
Yeah, Doors dropped 15. The bats are swinging well. Had a lot of really good at-bats as well. And some of those balls started to ride out of here. Pitching-wise, just fantastic as well. I think we'll see some more today.
And they'll go to Kumar Rocker on the mound this afternoon, leading the way in the Vandy rotation. He is the first starter to make his 3rd start of the season.
Yeah, and he doesn't need any introduction. It's just big league stuff. I mean, power fastball, power slider. The thing that really takes to the next level, though, is just his mentality. He competes and he comes right at you. The weekend guys been solid and really just get better every single outing. Schultz last night bounced back from a tough weekend early on. 5 innings, 8 strikeouts last night, and you see the stats for all 3 of these guys. A lot of swing and misses, and one of the best rotations in the country.
There is Kumar Rocker, the Vanderbilt junior right-hander, making his 3rd start of the season. Went 4+ innings against Wright State in the season opener a couple of Mondays ago. Then last Sunday went 5 full against Georgia State. Did not allow a run in either. 14 strikeouts across those 9 innings. Here's the UIC batting order, same 9 as yesterday. Thomas Norton moves up from 6th to 5th in the order. Ryan Lynn Pystrup goes from 7th to 6th. And Corey Moore bumps down a couple spots, but same 9 guys playing the same 9 spots. Vanderbilt defensive alignment, there is change. Parker Nolan, the sophomore 3rd baseman, who had been the DH in the first 8 games, is in there at 3rd base. Jason Gonzalez, the DH. Cooper Davis, who returned last night from a broken nose, remains in left. And CJ Rodriguez catching Rocker, as he has in all 3 of his starts this season. Vandy in the home whites, UIC in the nice powder blue with red, as Kumar Rocker deals to Thomas Smart to get us going.
I was going to say, I saw these guys getting off the bus and taking BP, and I saw they had the blue pants on. I thought, man, I hope they come out with the blue tops. It's some solid-looking unis.
Thomas Smart, the 5th-year senior right fielder, 0 for 3 with a walk yesterday, 4 out of 15 to start the season. Rocker sitting mid-90s with the fastball early on.
One of the warmer days that Rocker's pitched. He hadn't had the greatest weather in his past 2 outings, so I definitely think that gun might get a little bit hotter as it starts to get a little bit warmer. Saw 96 just there.
Temperature in the mid-50s and sunny. Wind blowing right in the batter's face at Rocker's bat. Appeal to first, no swing. Both Rodriguez and Rocker thought they had Smart, but it's 3-2.
You see the depth on this breaking ball. It's sharp, it starts out and right at the shoulder. Good job holding up there.
Hit him in the hand. Rodriguez says something to home plate umpire Jordan Farrell, but this will stand as a hit batsman to lead off the ball game.
Yeah, and Rocker looked a little bit confused as well. Looked like it got him right there on the bottom part of that right wrist. Yeah, initially I thought it hit the tip of the barrel, or at least the knob of the bat.
Matt Botcher takes ball 1. Rodriguez's contention there, maybe that the pitch could have been a strike.
Right, I mean, it does look like it was starting to come inside, but I don't think it would have been had been no interference from the batter.
Botcher, another 5th-year senior, swings and misses.
Yeah, I think they're going to call a balk. It did look like that was a little bit quick. I think Rocker didn't come set, but we might get a good replay here. Take a look. Yeah, it looked like he just kind of went straight through. Rocker does like to work quickly, so I guess he was trying to get right back in there in the strike zone, but forgot to come set. But nonetheless, UIC got a runner in scoring position quickly.
Pitch doesn't count. It's 1 ball and no strikes on Botcher. 2-0.
And Rocker missing a little bit arm side. Kind of up and away to the left-handers. Saw him have similar misses back when his first start at Wright State.
3-0.
Big thing that Scott Brown and him worked on this offseason and in the fall is just getting his body all moving in the right direction and getting all parts of his body working in relation to his arm. I mean, he is a big guy. He's got a lot of stuff moving, so just keeping all that together to repeatedly get strikes in that strike zone.
4-pitch walk. Back-to-back free bases start the ball game.
Yeah, and this is what you want if you're UIC. Get Rocker on the ropes early, get some guys on base, put them in the stretch, make them uncomfortable. We take a look at Scott Brown. See his 9th season here at Vanderbilt. You got to think he has had multiple offers to go be head coach somewhere or do something different, but he is such a mainstay here. And I think he likes what he's doing. Obviously, he's good at it.
Hit batsman, a balk and a walk start the game for Rocker as Brett Tresson shows bunt. Takes a strike. Tresson, the senior left fielder, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts yesterday. Just 3 out of 17 to start the season. Also struggled in short action last year. This is just UIC's 5th game in their 2nd series. Bunt back to Rocker. Only plays to first for the out and a successful sacrifice.
That's typical UIC baseball right there. Get some guys on, bunt them over, put them in scoring position. Now got runners on 2nd and 3rd. Do the little things well. It was right back at Rocker, but it was slow enough to move those runners up. UIC here with an opportunity to put a run on the board for the first time this weekend.
Josh Figueroa, the DH in the cleanup spot. Rocker has yet to allow a run this season through 9 innings of work across 2 starts. He has struggled out of the gate. Andrew mentioned what he did against Wright State in the opener. Last week against Georgia State, 7 strikes, 12 balls in the first. Came out of it unscathed.
As an opposing team, yeah, you circle Vanderbilt on the schedule, but also you circle being able to face this guy. I mean, everybody wants a shot, so every time you get up there, really going to be dialed in. Rocker's going to get everybody's best effort.
Two and one. 98 from Kumar Rocker, who's throwing heat early.
Yeah, check out the spot here. Good stick from his catcher.
CJ Rodriguez has caught all 3 of Rocker's starts this season. Swing and a miss, blows him away at 98. Rocker right back into the at-bat at 2-2.
Yeah, that fastball got a little extra juice on it today. We've seen him consistently sitting 93 to 95, jumping up there a good bit.
Vandy playing the infield back. Full count. Rocker threw 17 pitches, 11 balls, and 6 strikes. Smart hit by a 3-2 pitch, and Botcher walked on 4 pitches behind him. Tresson sacrificed them both up. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Big strikeout for Kumar Rocker.
Now, all 3 strikes in that at bat, 98 on the outside corner. This one with 2 strikes, and catcher Rodriguez able to hang on.
Two outs for Thomas Norton, another 5th-year senior. He's the 3rd baseman. Also 0 for yesterday. UIC last night had just 2 hits in the 15-0 loss. Called strike with the slider.
A huge opportunity here for UIC. Not going to get many opportunities to get guys on scoring position, especially early against Rocker, so definitely going to have to capitalize at some point.
0-1 to Norton. Line to center. Bradfield comes in and makes a diving catch. Enrique Bradfield Jr. gets Vanderbilt out of it with the team's best defensive play of the year so far.
And Bradfield, a heck of a play. Got a really good jump, nice dive. That's why you like that freshman in the outfield. Commodore's coming to bat.
Enrique Bradfield Jr. with the big play in the Vanderbilt outfield keeps this game scoreless as the Commodores come to bat against local man UIC's Jacob Key from Murfreesboro, about 45 minutes southeast of Nashville, and Siegel High School pitching against the Commodores for the second straight season. They'll face this batting order for the 7-1 Commodores, who have won 4 straight. Cooper Davis back at the top of it once again. Same 9 as yesterday with the exception of behind the plate. CJ Rodriguez replaces Max Romero. Noland is the third baseman, Gonzalez the DH, but their spots in the batting order hold at 4 and 9. Jacob Key, the 5th-year senior for UIC, to Cooper Davis. Davis bunts it in the air foul. UIC defensive alignment, same as yesterday. True freshman Cole Kahn behind the plate for the second straight time. Josh Figueroa is their normal catcher. He's the DH because of a shoulder injury. Ryan Lynn Pystrup, the steady hand at shortstop. Davis grounds this one to Matt Botcher. 1 up, 1 down for Jacob Key.
Yeah, and that's what Jacob Key is going to get a lot of. He's going to pitch the ball down the zone, get a lot of strikes, just let those hitters ground into those easy outs. He's a little bit different than what we saw last night from Tanner Shears. A little bit softer, 87, kind of tops out about 85 to 87 with the fastball, but good breaking ball, good change, but just a good all-around pitcher. This is going to compete up there. Not going to blow anything by you. That was a good look at the fastball, but you saw the run on that thing. As a hitter, you really got to stay in on it. And good look at the slider.
Key ahead of Carter Young quickly. No balls and 2 strikes. Key was the Horizon League Pitcher of the Year in the last full season in 2019 as a junior. 0-2 to Carter Young. Ball 1. Carter Young hit the first of 2 back-to-back jacks in the bottom of the 7th last night.
Yeah, and it was an absolute tank. A fastball up in the zone. Took a good hack at it. He actually had a curveball that he almost got a good hack on, but that one not able to come up with. Jacob Key is making quick work of these Vandy hitters. A good look at a changeup. Going to swing through it.
2 outs on just 6 pitches for Jacob Key, and here comes Dom Keegan, the SEC's reigning player of the week. Takes ball 1 down and away. Keegan 1 out of 3 last night, hit the second of those 2 back-to-back homers, hitting .542, 13 out of 24 to start his junior year. Ahead 2-0, and well, on the next pitch after Young's homer, Keegan repeated the feat.
Yeah, and Keegan's home runs they're usually not no-doubters. I mean, off the bat, they just have some good flight and continue to ride out of here, but man, he has been on a tear recently.
Keegan leads Vanderbilt with both 4 homers and 14 RBIs, as well as 5 doubles to lead the squad. Second nationwide in slugging percentage as we get this season going. 2-2.
And you notice Key's ability to kind of command both sides of the strike zone. There's a fastball on the outside corner, but has that arm side runs right back over part of the plate. Works fast. Got a lot of swing and miss so far, and balls moving all over the place, whether it's with changeups that drop out of the zone or going to run off the end of the bat.
Full count on Dom Keegan. He's now reached base in 18 of his last 26 plate appearances, covering a span of 6 full games. All 4 homers are in that stretch. Called strike 3. Fools him with the slider, and Jacob Key goes 1-2-3. Scoreless after 1. Scoreless after one. Vandy and UIC. Max Hers and Andrew Harris with you on SEC Network Plus. Thanks so much for joining us on a very nice Saturday afternoon at the Hawk in Nashville. Some fans in the building and fans all over the globe who want to see Kumar Rocker pitch. 20 pitches in the first inning, 11 balls to just 9 strikes. Second straight outing that Rocker has not had his best control in inning number 1.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, he finds a way to get out of it. And usually after that first inning, he really settles in.
Working to Ryan, Lynn, Pystrup, 6, 7, and 8 in the UIC order. Lynn, Pystrup, Moore, and Kahn, the 3 scheduled. Foul tip makes it 1-1. Lynn Pystrup 0 for 2 with a walk and a strikeout last night in Vandy's 15-0 win. Two balls, 1 strike, and Rocker continues to hit the high 90s.
Yeah. It looks like those balls that are up in the zone do kind of catch the 97, 98 range.
There's a nice slider for a called strike.
But as we saw last weekend, you can always come back to that slider, get right back in the zone. Just has such dominant break. Right there again,
Got him for strike 3 with the sword, and Rocker has his second strikeout of the ballgame.
Went back-to-back slider, and take a look at where this thing starts. Right about your eye at the eye level, and then kind of disappears. You can't even make up your mind to swing.
First pitch to Corey Moore, another half swing, and another strike. Moore, the senior first baseman from Huntington Beach, California. 0 for 4 with a strikeout last night. Moves down to the 7th spot. Rocker and Rodriguez were ready. Home plate umpire Jordan Farrell was not. We'll try the 0-1. Line to right. Foul ball. It's an interesting time of year for Rocker, Andrew. Last season, he missed his start in the 3rd week of non-conference play, which is where we are right now because of soreness. And there was also a stretch 2 years ago, his freshman year in this same week, where he did not pitch for a week and a half. That's a hump that Tim Corbin and Scott Brown are really hoping that he can not only get over, but also his new delivery addresses.
Exactly. And I think a lot of it is just early season. You don't want to push a guy too much, so definitely listen to kind of where they are.
There's another strikeout. 3 out of the last 4 have whiffed against Rocker, all swinging Ks.
Yeah, we saw a lot of different pitches from Rocker that last at bat. Started off with a fastball away that gets fouled off, and then goes to mix it up with a changeup down that gets fouled, and then a slider, and then finishes it up with a fastball up in the zone. So a lot of pitches we've seen from Rocker. Like his last weekend, we didn't see too much of it. He really worked on the fastball and the slider, but we've seen a number of those today.
0-1 to Cole Kahn. Hitting hard to center. Bradfield on the move, and it lands. Kahn going for second, and he's there with a double. Bradfield was shaded to left center, and Kahn pulled it into the right center field gap.
Yeah, on the hit, it looked like Bradfield was going to be an easy spot for him, kind of right dead away to center. But as you mentioned, Max, he was shaded towards the left side. It wasn't able to get there. I think they were more so planning on possibly being late to the swing or late to the ball because of the velocity with Rocker, so they're playing him a little bit more oppo. But he was able to turn on that and get a little bit more pull side.
Brian Rosario hits 9th. Fastball outside. Kahn now 2 out of 17 to start his college career. A homer and a double off Kumar Rocker, the 2 hits. Rosario 1 out of 3 with a double of his own yesterday. Doubled in the top of the 8th inning off of Grayson Moore. That was the only hit to the outfield for UIC. Off the hands, Young charges, gets around the baseball, and gets the out. A 2-out double for Cole Kahn, but nothing more for UIC. Scoreless after 1.5. The view inside the Vanderbilt dugout as we start the bottom of the second at Hawkins Field. Max Hers and Andrew Harris. Kumar Rocker is through a couple of scoreless innings. Left 3 men in scoring position across those 2 frames. Vandy went down in order against Jacob Key to start the game. Key back out to face 4, 5, and 6 in the Commodore lineup. Parker Noland, Isaiah Thomas, and CJ Rodriguez. Noland in the cleanup spot for the 8th straight game. Bunts this one, foul, third base side. Noland hitting .321 to start his sophomore year. 9 hits in 28 at-bats, with his first collegiate home run 6 days ago against Georgia State. Also walked 6 times compared to 7 strikeouts. As he holds down the cleanup hole, a new assignment for Noland today. Been the DH in the first 8 games. Today the third baseman.
Yeah. I think Tim Corbin just trying to throw him out there. We've seen Gonzalez out there a number of times, but Noland getting the start at third base. Tim Corbin, beginning of the year, always likes to mix up the order just a little bit and see some, how the offensive production and how the defense works as well. But a nice spot there from Jacob Key in the inside corner. Good look at a changeup. Actually ran back in. Couldn't pull the trigger. Yeah, Tim Corbin does. I mean, he likes to throw out some different type of lineups and see what sticks. His beginning of the year is a good time to test those out before you get into conference play, which is actually quickly approaching.
Yeah.
You're looking at the schedule the other day and only a few weeks away.
2 weekends from now, the Commodores welcome South Carolina to the Hawk. 2-0 on Isaiah Thomas. 9 out of 30 to start the season. Hitting in the 5-hole, junior right fielder. 1 for 3 with an RBI double off the third baseman yesterday. Ahead 3-0. So 4 up, 4 down for Key with 3 straight strikeouts, but now in a 3-0 hole. Ball 4. First base runner for the Commodores with 1 out in the second. There is Tim Corbin, the Vandy skipper and third base coach in his 19th year. 7-1 with 4 straight wins to start the season after losing 8 days ago to Georgia State, 4-2. Only loss of the year for the Commodores. And there's Mike D, 23rd year at UIC, and they have played here at the Hawk 10 out of the last 15 seasons, a non-conference series against the Commodores.
Yeah, a long-standing relationship between those two guys. It's a great opportunity for UIC to come down to Nashville early in the season, get some hopefully warmer weather. It's usually a little cold, but usually not much snow on the ground. But get some warmer weather, play some good competition, and it's a great opportunity for Vanderbilt because you get a non-conference team that is very fundamentally sound and good competition as well, so it works out for both guys.
D says that they're always able to give Vanderbilt a little bit of a push and bring out the best in each other, and especially bring out the best in his team early in the season. A couple of close pickoff plays with Thomas diving in. David Macias is Vandy's first base coach. He was a Commodore those first few meetings between Vandy and UIC. First few meetings of the Corbin era. They had met before, but 07, 08. David Macias roaming the Commodore outfield. CJ Rodriguez down 0-2. Rodriguez starting his 5th game here in Vanderbilt's 9th as the catcher. 4 out of 15 to start the season, a .267 average, 3 RBIs, and 4 runs scored. Keys used his fastball so far, both for called strikes and looking for chases.
Yeah, especially to the right-handers, use that fastball. It does have some arm side runs, so kind of sneak some pitches down there on the outside corner. Definitely paying attention to Thomas there at first base. Vandy stole a number of bases yesterday, led by Enrique Bradfield.
Foul out of play. Vandy as a team is a perfect 8 for 8 stealing bases this season, and on the defensive side, they have allowed just 3 steals on 9 attempts. Bradfield has stolen 6 of the 8 for the Commodores. Cooper Davis and Parker Nolan, 1 apiece.
Tough to hold off on this. Slider right there on the outside corner. I thought it dropped right in there, but home plate umpire Jordan Farrell said might have been a little bit high. Good to be here from Rodriguez.
Lines this one to left and foul. Rodriguez has seen 6 pitches after going down 0-2. Couple of foul balls and a couple of takes. Key has already thrown more pitches in this second than in the first when he threw 12. Over to first, got him! Vandy hasn't been caught stealing, but they've been picked off a couple of times this year.
A heck of a snap throw here. And you saw the slight hesitation from Isaiah Thomas towards second base, and that was just enough to make the tag and get him out.
Rodriguez lines this one over Lynn Pystrup for a single. So a runner comes off the board, but Vandy back in business with 2 outs.
And gosh, you just wish that you had that runner on, but regardless, a nice piece of hitting there. Right over the top. Commodores have done a good job of hitting ground balls, hitting line drives. Haven't had many easy pop fly outs in the past few games.
Tate Colwick's in the 7-hole.
Yeah, they've really been making the defense work and making the defense actually field the ball and get them out.
Colwick 6 for 27, a .222 average to start the season. 3 walks, or 7 walks on the year, excuse me, brings his on-base average up to .382. Junior second baseman from Memphis and Arlington High School. Hitless in his last 2 games, 0 for 4 last night.
He really pounding the bottom part of that zone. Doing a good job staying around the plate.
Just missed the outside.
Yeah, he's not missing far. I mean, if he's missing just a little bit out, just a little bit low. That's one of the things they like about him as a Saturday pitcher. Guy's going to give him a chance to win. Not going to give up many free bases and controls the running games. We saw able to pick off Isaiah Thomas.
There's the outside fastball. Key in his 4th year in the weekend rotation. A COVID senior, 5th-year senior. Horizon League Pitcher of the Year 2 seasons ago in 2019. Full count pitch to Colwick. Ball 4. Back-to-back 2-out base runners after the pickoff. Takes us to the 8-hole, and Enrique Bradfield Jr., first at bat of the ball game, made the diving catch in center field to save a couple of runs and end the top of the first inning for Kumar Rocker and Vandy's defense. He's done well with the bat, too. 10 out of 24 to start his college career, a .417 average, plus 5 walks, 2 hit by pitches, and a .548 on-base percentage.
Definitely a freshman that's turned a lot of heads, especially around here in Nashville. You kind of come in here and puts up those numbers. Can do a lot of things. I mean, he's so fast and he can use all sides of the field. We've seen a little bit of pop in the bat, but does a really good job with the bunt game too. He's learned a lot from senior Cooper Davis at the top of the lineup, and how to utilize that ability to bunt for the advantage that his legs have.
And we saw last night the full package. He beat out an infield single, line drive single up the middle, and a bunt single for his 3 hits. Dummies the bunt and takes a strike to make it 0-2. Bradfield from Hialeah, Florida, an American Heritage School down there in the Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. 19-year-old and a big piece of Vandy baseball's future. Half swing, he went strike 3. Jacob Key walks a couple and gives up a hit, but pitches around it. We are scoreless after 2. The Flames down from Chicago in Nashville for the weekend. Second straight day, we've been scoreless through 2 full. Vandy scored 6 in the bottom of the 3rd yesterday en route to a 15-0 victory. Mike D's crew, led by their ace, Jacob Key, hoping for a better outcome today with Kumar Rocker on the bump for the Commodores. Jack Leiter will pitch for Vandy tomorrow against UIC's Ryan O'Reilly. Top of the Flame order against Rocker, Thomas Smart, Matt Botcher, and Brett Tresson here in the 3rd. Called strike, a lot going on.
Might have been a little bit of a cross-up there. Rodriguez wasn't ready for that slider, but nonetheless right back in it.
Smart had no desire to bunt that thing, and now he swings at one and misses.
Max, at the top of the inning, we just saw Coach Mike D. You were able to speak with him earlier this week, and one of the things he said he really likes about playing Vandy is getting his hitters a really good test from some really good pitching. He mentioned, gosh, going back over the years, he feels like every single pitcher that they faced is, at least on Friday nights, has been a big league pitcher.
Yeah, and he's right. David Price in 07, Mike Minor in 08 and 09, Sonny Gray here in 2011, and now Rocker this year. And along the way, Kevin Zomek, Tyler Beatty, who's now with the Giants. See where this one missed.
Maybe a little high.
1-2 from Rocker to Smart. That one's definitely up, and it's 2-2.
Yeah, but Max, that's a pretty good lineup there. Goodness gracious.
You can make a big league rotation out of David Price, Mike Minor, Sonny Gray, Tyler Beatty, Kyle Wright in 2017. High miss with the fastball, and it's 3-2.
That went over him. I thought it went behind him, and it went right over his head.
Cleared the backstop, too. See what Rocker deals on the 3-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Kumar Rocker, effectively wild.
I was going to say, I know that wasn't really what he wanted to do, but it probably helped him out here on this next pitch. And right back, started to go a little bit more inside. As a hitter, you see one that buzzes your ear hole, and the next one might be a little bit more hesitant to start that swing.
4th strikeout for Rocker. Now Botcher, pass first and fair into shallow right field. Botcher headed for second as Thomas digs it out, and that's a double. Second hit for UIC, and both of them have been for extra bases.
A little chopper down the right side towards Keegan. I think Keegan was played a little bit closer towards second base, so he didn't have the greatest angle on it, and was actually playing a little bit shallow, which I was a little bit confused about why he was playing so shallow. It might have been threatening for a potential bunt, but regardless, the ball gets by him, and Botcher able to get all the way to second base.
UIC's had somebody in scoring position in every inning. Here it's with 1 out, and Rocker starts Tresson off with a slider strike. Tresson a sacrifice bunt his first time up after Smart and Botcher both got free bases. A hit by pitch on what would have been ball 4 for Smart in the first inning, then Botcher walked on 4. Got him to second and third with 1 out on the bunt, and they did not score. Swing and a miss. Another slider down low after 1 in the zone.
The slider it gets so many swing and misses. You rarely see guys barrel it up. Might see a couple of foul balls, but rarely do guys make good contact with it. It's just one of those pitches that's really tough to pick up out of the hands.
Rocker in the driver's seat, 0-2. Fastball high. Swing and a miss, strike 3, but it leaks through Rodriguez, and everybody's safe. Botcher goes second to third, and Tresson aboard on the drop, third strike.
That's a rare pass ball for Rodriguez. Gets the slider. The swing and miss goes right underneath Rodriguez, the catcher. Runners move up. Botcher goes to third.
Just the second career pass ball for Rodriguez. The first one was last year as a freshman. This is the 17th collegiate game he's caught. First and third with one out for Josh Figueroa. Called strike. Slider on the outside part of the plate. Rockers led with a lot of sliders today. Struck out Figueroa on a fastball his first time up, and that was also in a big spot with one out. Second and third with one down in the first inning. Runner goes first to second. Rodriguez throws, and Tresson safe. Botcher holds the third, and it's second and third again with one down.
Yeah, it looked like Rocker was kind of getting in a rhythm. He went with a high leg kick on that one, so allowed Tresson to get a little bit of extra good jump, able to slide in there. Get another guy in scoring position.
Infield stays back even with the double play off. And it's 1-2. Rocker sticking with the stretch here, second and third.
Yeah, we've seen him, when he does get in the stretch, kind of slows down a little bit. Gets that body moving towards home plate a little bit more efficiently. Gets back in that strike zone.
Grounder to second. This will get the run home as Colwick throws to first. 1-0 UIC, and Kumar Rocker allows his first run of the season.
Yeah, right back up the middle. Commodores did a good job playing it. They had Colwick squeezed up there. They were playing back, so they conceded the run. But you saw the cheers, or you heard the cheers from UIC's dugout, knowing that runs are definitely going to be a premium here in this game, especially against Rocker. So to be able to squeeze one across is super important, especially early here in the game.
Rocker misses with the right-on-right changeup to Norton to start him off. Norton was robbed of a two-run single by Enrique Bradfield to end the first. Swing and a miss. Fastball right there.
And you'll notice that the fastballs that are back in the zone are a little bit slower. I say a little bit slower. It's still at 94, but the ones that he's missing up high have a little bit extra juice on it, so a little bit more rise.
Swing and a miss. No advancement as Rodriguez deflects that one over towards third. So we've gone changeup, fastball, slider this AB.
Yeah, the past few batters, we've only seen the fastball and the slider, but starting to mix in a few of those other pitches.
Rocker ready with the 1-2 to Thomas Norton. 2-2 with a cutter.
Yeah, Rocker did start to develop that cutter this offseason, along with his teammate Jack Leiter. Just put a little bit of extra movement on that fastball.
Foul ball. The cutter sits in the high 80s, up to 90, 91. That one was 88. Just less of a depth pitch than the slider, but slider-style movement with velo.
Anytime you can get a different type of movement with a different type of velocity, a lot of different things coming at you. Just tough to make that adjustment as a hitter.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Rocker gets his 6th strikeout, but a drop third strike sets up UIC's first run of the series. Bottom third on a warm but windy day here at the Hawk. Temperatures in the mid-50s. UIC with their first run of the series after Vandy won 15-0 last night. Commodores ranked 2nd in the Division I baseball poll, and as usual, SEC teams littered all over it, including the top 4, 5 of the top 6, and plenty in the top 20.
Yeah, I mean, SEC baseball is just stacked every year, but especially this year. Good to see Arkansas up there at #1. And props to former SID here at Vandy over baseball, Kyle Parkinson.
KP.
Yeah, he's now the Associate AD of Communications over at Arkansas.
Arkansas is #1, and they won a thriller in their series opener last night against Murray State, 7-6, and they're playing another good one today. It's 6-5 Hogs in the 5th in Fayetteville. Jacob Key back to the mound, 9-1-2 in the Vandy order. Jason Gonzalez, the Vandy DH today after playing the first 8 at third base. Gonzalez 10 out of 25 on the season for an even .400 batting average. A home run and 8 RBIs for the senior, who was away last year on a leave of absence during the shortened season. Hitting the 9-hole in every game for Vandy so far this year.
Yeah, and Gonzalez, like Keegan, has a similar type of power. Not going to have any absolute moon shots, but balls that hit the gap and occasionally right out of here. But a guy that makes good contact with it, and Tim Corbin likes him down there at the bottom of the order. Going to keep some consistency down there in the 9 spot.
Half swing, appeal to first, no swing, says Jeff Wright. Full count.
I thought it was potential to be on the pitch as well. Not a bad spot. Key has been all around the plate all day today. A nice pitch there. A slider on the outside corner.
5 strikeouts for Jacob Key on his first trip through the Vandy lineup.
Yeah, that right-on-right slider. As a hitter, you start your swing, you think, oh, I'm going to get ready to make good contact with this, and it keeps running off the plate, and by the time you get your bat through the zone, it's off the plate, and you can't even reach it.
Cooper Davis, the Vandy leadoff man, grounded out to second his first time. That's actually the only out that UIC has recorded on a ball in play. 5 strikeouts, and Thomas picked off first. This one also in play. Out in right field for Smart. 2 quick ones for Key here in the 3rd. Steve Willard introduces Carter Young. We saw that homer yesterday, and the power from Young, 3 homers this season, hasn't really surprised Tim Corbin, especially on the left side. He's a switch hitter, and the left is more of his power side. More loft on the balls he hits from that side, Tim Corbin says.
And Carter Young brought in most definitely for his defense. I mean, he's just such a lock right there at shortstop, but offensively had a good year last year, but it was shortened obviously because of COVID. And the question mark was, how was he going to develop here as an offensive player? And he really has swung the bat well, as we see a gap shot that went out.
Wow.
Goodness gracious.
Home run number 4 for Carter Young. Ties this game at 1.
I was going to say a gap shot that seems to fall, but it just kept riding on out of here.
Fell in row 1.
And that's what he can do. You can take a look here. The fastball just stays up in the zone. Gets some good backspin on it. It keeps riding out of here. And the wind's even blowing in, so that thing had some good energy behind it. A heck of a job by Carter Young. Dominic Keegan kind of gets the gets all the accolades for some of the power, but Carter Young matched him right there with 4.
Keegan hits this one hard for a 2-out single. The Vandy Bats are alive with back-to-back 2-out hits. So they went back-to-back homers on back-to-back pitches in the 7th inning last night. Homer and a single in the same sequence today. Parker Nolan struck out looking at a changeup his first time. As the Vandy order gets their second look at Jacob Key, and having much more success this time around, as the fastball, slider, and changeup kept Vandy off the board in the first 2 2/3. Up the middle, Botcher to Lynn Pystrup for the 3rd out. Nice play on the middle of the UIC infield, but Vandy ties the game on a 2-out solo shot by Carter Young. UIC scores in the top. Young and Vandy answer in the bottom. 1-1 after 3. Two Rockers in the stands, one on the mound after 3. 1-1 ball game after both teams get a single run in the 3rd inning. Kumar Rocker, 56 pitches through 3, 34 strikes, 22 balls. And those 3 who you just saw, Tracy, Lou, and Kumar, had dinner with Tim and Maggie Corbin in Knoxville after a late season SEC series in the spring of 2018. That's where they were living and still call their primary home when Tracy was the D-line coach at Tennessee. And Tim Corbin and Maggie were talking with Kumar. At the time, they didn't know if he was going to go pro or go to college. And Kumar said at that table that night at that restaurant in Knoxville, "I want to be the best teammate you have ever had," to Coach Corbin. And Tracy, his father, said that was the moment when he knew, all right, we're going to college.
Yeah, I think ever since he stepped foot on campus, he has done that. I remember when he did come in a few years ago, I asked Tim Corbin about Rocker. He said even back then, just his approach every day has been very professional. He comes in with a lot of accolades, but doesn't act like it, and he just goes right to work.
Ryan Lynn Pystrup battling here 2-2, 6, 7, and 8 in the UIC order. Rocker has lived up to his promise. Another 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3 with the slider. Strikeout number 7 for Kumar Rocker.
That thing is just nasty. Starts off right at the shoulder. It's such aggressive breaks, tough to hold off. And Max, yeah, you mentioned Rocker did have a lot of accolades coming in, and the thing that a lot of kids coming out of high school nowadays, I mean, they have with social media and all the the perfect games and those types of showcases. I mean, the kids just get pumped up so much and get told how good they are.
Grounder to Carter Young for the 2nd out.
So it's really easy for guys to kind of have a false sense of how good they are until they get to college. And Tim Corbin does a great job of recruiting kids that don't have that type of attitude, or whether or not they have the attitude and they come in and kind of get molded away from that. But the culture that Tim Corbin has built here at Vanderbilt is one of teamwork and guys always playing their position. And I think Rocker understood that from an early point and has really just inserted himself in that culture.
And his first appearances at Vandy weren't amazing. His college debut against TCU, he gave up 5 runs, only got 4 outs. His first home SEC start, he allowed 10 hits, 7 runs against Tennessee. 0-2 to Cole Kahn. Up high. And Rocker said at the end of the season, after he was named the College World Series Most Outstanding Player, that those 2 starts were the ones that stuck with him the most, more than the no-hitter, more than Omaha, and that they made him a better person. That start against Tennessee on March 31st, 2019 here. The first 17 swings that Vol batters took all made contact with the ball. And now he's missing bats left and right against every team that comes into Hawkins Field. A 1-2, 3/4, and 8 strikeouts through 4 for Rocker. 1-1 game after 3.5. Middle innings of the middle game here in this series between UIC and Vandy. Max Hers and Andrew Harris at Hawkins Field, and plenty of students out in the outfield. Vandy has opened up some seating for the month of March, and great to see Commodore students, some season ticket holders sitting in the infield as well. Announced attendance yesterday, 350.
Hey, it's better than 0.
Yeah. Weather helps today, too. I bet we got more than that in here.
It's good to see humans in the outfield.
We've got some cardboard cutouts hanging out with us here in Memorial Gym, where we sit next door, and what is normally the basketball press conference room because of space restrictions, because of COVID in the press box. We do have a guest in between us. We have Buster Olney's cardboard cutout sitting with us today.
Watching our every move.
I don't know if that makes you A-Rod, but...
Sure thing.
Here's a guy with some A-Rod-like pop from South Florida, Isaiah Thomas. 5, 6, and 7 in the Vandy batting order in a 1-1 game. Josh Figueroa, an RBI ground out for the Flames in the top of the third. Carter Young, a solo homer with 2 outs in the bottom of that third inning. That's how we get to 1-1. Thomas walked his first time against Jacob Key, going through this Vandy lineup for the second time.
Rocking the shades, too.
Sun shining, temperature in the mid-50s in Nashville. And Thomas gets a piece of that breaker down and away.
One of the first games of full sunshine we've seen so far. Past weekend games have been full of clouds, rain, a little bit of snow.
I believe all the snow finally melted.
It did.
And I think there was some human activity that helped. I was here on Tuesday watching Vandy's practice, and they had kind of raked the big pile of snow out of that camera well and onto the turf where it melts a little faster. Swing and a miss. 69 miles an hour on the slider from Jacob Key.
Yeah, it took a little bit more off of that one. Big sweeping slider. He has done such a good job today of keeping these guys off balance and really keeping the ball down. The one fastball he did leave up in the zone, that was the one that Carter Young took out of here.
6 strikeouts, 2 groundouts, and just 1 air out for Jacob Key to account for these first 10. Plus a pickoff. 2-0 on C.J. Rodriguez, who was at bat when Thomas was picked off in the second. On the first pitch after, lined a single over shortstop. That at bat, he started down 0-2. Here it's 3-0. Always interesting to see how Rodriguez gets pitched. A great contact bat in this Vandy order, and last season hit second and third in the 18 games. Lines this one foul down the left field side and over the baseball building. He said he got a lot more fastballs hitting second than third. Not a huge surprise, but now he hits sixth.
Yeah, moved down a little bit lower in the order, trying to get those RBIs up. Older guy.
There's ball 4. Third walk allowed by Key. Key so far this inning, 10 pitches, 5 strikes, 5 balls, as Colwick takes strike 1. Always interesting to see pitchers who throw fastballs in the mid to high 80s like Key does go up against this Vandy lineup.
Yeah, knowing that, I mean, you can't really Go too inside with them. Not going to blow anything by them or catch them off guard because you don't really have the velocity. But if you do have a number of those other pitches in your arsenal, it's done a good job of mixing them up. Come on with the soft stuff to make that fastball look just a little bit faster.
Foul ball past Norton at third. Key did pitch against Vandy last season. And there are, of course, some similar names in the lineup. Davis, Rodriguez, Nolan, Thomas, and Young all started that game on February 21st of last year. Key went 5 2/3, allowed 13 hits, 9 runs, and a 9-0 loss. This year he pitches game number 2. 0-2 to Kolwick. Kolwick walked his first time. Got ahead 3-1. 0 for 4 last night. Two and two. Tim Corbin said after the win last night, in which Vandy had 16 hits and earned 8 walks, won at 15-0. He saw us starting in the bottom of the third with Max Romero's opposite field double. His hitters did a really good job staying through the middle of the field. Lines this one to center, and that's a base hit. Back-to-back one-out base runners for the Commodores.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, Max, as we see another guy go right back up the middle, but anytime you get a guy who doesn't have a super fast fastball, you try and yank it or try and do too much with it, you're going to get yourself out. But just hitting the ball where it's pitched, as we just saw Kolwick do, that's where you're going to have the most success.
First and second, one down for Enrique Bradfield Jr., who's got the defensive play of the day. Kept us scoreless in the top of the first. Diving catch in center. Struck out on 3 pitches, his first time hitting in the second. Bradfield hit with runners at first and second and 2 down in the second. First and second, 1 out here in the fourth, and that one got him. Bases loaded with 1 down for Jason Gonzalez.
Yeah, couldn't tell if they got him in the knee or the foot. Yeah, I got it right there in the knee. Not much meat right there on the left kneecap. Definitely one way to keep him from stealing bags.
Bradfield testing out that left leg over at first base with David Macias. That is the 3rd time this season the freshman has been hit by a pitch in his 32nd plate appearance.
And Bradfield is not feeling good over there at first base, still hobbling.
Gonzalez struck out his first time. Senior DH today after playing third base for the first 8 games. Hitting in the 9-hole. None of the runners being held on. Infield back. Any double play gets UIC out of the inning. Keys 0-1. Airborne to right. Smart charges towards the line, and it lands in the bullpen foul.
Number of UIC fans here today. A couple have made the trek down from Chicago.
UIC started at Florida International opening weekend. Did not play last week. Originally had Texas Tech on the schedule, but the two had a mutual bye weekend, May 7th through 9. So the Flames and the Red Raiders will play 4 later on this year instead. Prefer to have the off week early on. get some preseason style practice in, some of which they missed because of COVID in January. 0-2 to Gonzalez.
Yeah, I think Coach D wanted to have that Texas Tech weekend, as you mentioned, Max, further on in the season in May, because as you're starting to go into postseason, you need as many reps as possible and to keep the guys sharp. So it just worked out for both of them.
Flames will open Horizon League play next, starting on Friday at home against Milwaukee. And that'll be all 4-game series with doubleheaders in the middle, 1 7-inning game, 1 9-inning game. And no midweeks for Horizon League teams this year. Gonzalez pops this one up. Great result for Jacob Key with the infield fly in effect. Big second out.
Yeah, probably the best outcome other than a strikeout. Got in there on the hands of Gonzalez. Again, not going to blow anything by you, but the fastball has good arm side run, so started off in the middle of the plate and came in on the hands of Gonzalez, and he just wasn't able to get his hands extended and got the pop-up.
Bases loaded with 2 down for Cooper Davis. A ground out and a fly out today. Seen just 3 pitches in his second game back. Swings first pitch and bounces this one to Moore. UIC's out of the inning. Jacob Key leaves them loaded and keeps this ball game tied after 4. Fifth inning, 1-1 ball game. UIC running with the second-ranked team in the country after Vandy won 15-0 last night. Max Hers and Andrew Harris on the call. Game 2 of 3 will play at 1 o'clock Central tomorrow. Jack Leiter will pitch that game for the Commodores. And for the first time this year, Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker not pitching in a doubleheader together.
I know, it's wild.
We got spoiled by it. What do you mean Jack Leiter's not pitching in 2 hours? 9-1-2 in the Flame order against Rocker. 69 pitches for him so far, 43 strikes and 26 balls. The only run came in the 3rd inning on a run-scoring ground out, and another cross-up through a bunt attempt. Second time we've seen that to start an inning. Second time it's a called strike, too. Rosario in the 9-hole, appeal to 3rd, he swung. 1 out of 3 with a double last night, grounded out to shortstop to end the second. Switch hitting center fielder, JUCO transfer from San Joaquin Delta College, was on UIC last year, did not play. Called strike 3. 9th strikeout for Rocker.
And quick work out of Rosario. This time backdoor slider. Starts on the outside, right back over the plate. Not able to pull the trigger.
Framed up well by CJ Rodriguez on that low and outside part behind the dish. 9 strikeouts for Rocker.
You saw only 1 walk from Rocker so far today, but has definitely gone deep in a lot of different counts. Hasn't been super efficient.
Smart lines this one out to right field, but Thomas positioned well. 2 up and 2 down, and going back to Botcher's double in the 3rd inning. Make that 8 straight retired by Rocker, but within there is the drop 3rd strike and also the run scoring ground out. Rocker struck out 12 in his start against UIC last season. 9 is already his most in any outing this year, and start number 3.
Max, you see pitch count getting up there about 74. You think possibly maybe another inning? He has been right around 70, I think. Went up a little bit over 80 last outing. Probably continued to get him to get extended a little bit more as we start to get ready for conference play.
Vandy has not yet had a starter throw a pitch in the 6th inning this year. Thomas Schultz became the latest to go 5 full yesterday. Rocker's done it once. Looking to do it again here. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 10 strikeouts for the first time this season, and Kumar Rocker is through 5. 1-1 ball game at the halfway point. Back-to-back 1, 2, 3 innings for Kumar Rocker in the 4th and the 5th. Keep this game tied at 1-1 as we move to the bottom of the 5th inning. 2, 3, and 4 in the Vandy lineup. Carter Young, Dominic Keegan, and Parker Nolan. Jacob Key back to the bump for the Flames. 4 innings. 4 hits against him. Carter Young homered for the only run in the bottom of the 3rd. They'll see each other for the first time since. Key 71 pitches, 41 strikes, and 30 balls to this point. Young took a 2-0 fastball on the outer half into the first row of the bleachers in right center for Vandy's only run.
It was back in the 3rd inning when Vandy definitely needed to have some sort of response to UIC getting that big 1 run. Allowed the momentum to really stop out of that UIC dugout and get it right back into Vandy. Now it's kind of right back in the middle here. A good ball game here, 1-1. Good pitching matchup. Both Key and Rocker have done a really good job.
Young lines this one towards the right field corner. Turns and heads for second as Smart gets it in, and Young safe with a lead-off double.
Yeah, good job sitting on this pitch. The fastball has started to run off the outside corner, wraps around it. Gets it right down the right field corner. Takes a look at it, makes sure it's deep enough, and hustles all the way, gets all the way to second. Carter Young having a good year so far, swinging a hot bat.
Young now 13 out of 34 on the season for a .382 average. 4 homers, 4 doubles, and a triple. Homer and a double today. Dom Keegan, a single and a strikeout today, hitting behind him. Swing and a miss, start him off with the right-on-right running fastball. You heard Tim Corbin, the third base coach, advising Carter Young throughout that whole scenario.
Yeah, he was talking about where Botcher, the second baseman, was. He's starting to creep over, so very, very vocal there at third base.
Corbin won't give a ton of hand signals or big waves at third. It's very verbal. Even on a play with the guy on second going home, you'll get maybe a point towards the plate and just a go, 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 go.
Yep. Yeah, Tim Corbin loves to stay out there at third base. He tried to go in the dugout one year. That only lasted a few games. He likes to be out there in the action. I think at the time, I think it was back in 2010, he actually had Coach Holliday out there, who he'll see next weekend at Oklahoma State. Coach Josh Holliday. But as I mentioned, Tim Corbin likes to be out in the action and kind of running the show from out there.
Commodores will make their first road trip of the season at Oklahoma State next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can watch those games on ESPN Plus with our friends over in the Big 12 producing those broadcasts. Commodores got UIC tomorrow, and then Memphis here on Tuesday for the first meeting since 2014. Keegan hits this one in the air to left field. Tresson makes the catch. Young heads for third, trying to get there with one out, and he does.
You know, normally, ball hit to left field, your runner on second base, you're not really going to tag up and get there, but knowing that Tresson probably doesn't have the greatest arm, and the reason why they probably know that is because from watching infield and outfield, and it was a little bit more in the gap. So heads up base running from Carter Young to try and push it and get to third base.
Nolan takes ball one low. So runner at third. Corner guy's in. Now more of the first baseman backs off.
You see the middle going to concede the run and play back. We saw earlier last game on Friday, saw the infield played in almost every time a guy was on third base. They really played aggressively and tried to make sure nobody scored. The game got quickly out of hand. As mentioned, Commodores dropped 15 last night.
This will get the run in and be an RBI single for Parker Nolan. Vandy's got their first lead of the game at 2-1.
And that's a great view of why Carter Young getting to third base on that tag was so important. It's just a little squeaker right to the foreside. And Carter Young sees it through, able to score easily. But a heads-up base running from Carter Young, able to get the Commodores the lead here in the fifth.
Young scored both of Vandy's runs in the game, one on his solo homer in the third. Now a double here to start the fifth, and scores on Nolan's single. Thomas a walk and a strikeout so far today. He has led with the slider against him all 3 times. Pops this one up and out of play. Sun playing games with everybody out there. Both the catcher and the third baseman thought they had a chance.
And as the shadows start to get in here, you'll see the press box shadow starts to creep over that kind of batter's circle. Definitely makes it a little bit more difficult for those hitters to pick up the ball. But have a few, probably about 30 more minutes before that happens.
Third trip through the Vandy lineup. Key struck out 6 of the first 14 hitters he faced. Thomas was his last strikeout victim. He hasn't struck out anybody since. This Vandy lineup making adjustments, seeing a starter for the second and third time. Right side of the infield. Botcher fights the sun and makes the catch for the second out.
Does look like I have a little bit of wind swirling up there. The Botcher able to reel that one in. Yeah, Max, you mentioned kind of the second, third time these guys get through the order, how important that is. And you get a scouting report from a guy on key, and you have a general idea what he does, but then once you get into the actual game, you see what's working for him, what's not, and then you go back in the dugout and kind of have those more conversations. So knowing that he's going to try and stay away and use that slider, especially with the right-hander, so just go back in the dugout and say, hey, if it's not, on the inside part, you might try and spit at it.
Starts C.J. Rodriguez off speed. Rodriguez been on base twice, a single and a walk. Vandy's taken a 2-1 lead here in the bottom of the fifth inning. Rodriguez, the sophomore catcher from Newport Beach, California in Orange County, modern day, where he played his high school ball. Norton a long way, called off by the pitcher Key, who makes the catch himself. 1 run on a couple of hits. Parker Nolan's single makes it 2-1 Vandy. Vandy's got a 2-1 lead, and Kumar Rocker becomes the first Commodore starter back out for the 6th inning this season.
Yeah, we discussed that last inning. I think was trying to extend him. He also had a very quick inning last inning. Didn't throw many pitches, but as we get here the next few weeks, starting SEC play, Rocker going to be the Friday guy. He's pitching on Saturday, but that's just more scheduling issues. Trying to get him back in that Friday spot and start to get him a little bit more extended. So we'll see how long they let him go.
3, 4, and 5 in the Flame batting order. There's strike one at 94 to Brett Tresson. Tresson, a sacrifice bunt and a strikeout. 0 for 6 on the series so far with 4 Ks. Missed with the slider. Rocker and Leiter pitched Vandy's opening day doubleheader on a Monday after 3 straight days of unbreakable ice and snow on the field. The two shared a Sunday doubleheader last week. Now this week, Rocker moves up a day again. Leiter stays on Sunday. Seems to set Vandy up to go back to Rocker on Friday, Leiter on Saturday next weekend. Chopper up the middle. Young calls off Colwick and gets the out. 10 straight retired by Rocker.
That was nice communication up the middle. Colwick was actually played a little bit more shaded towards the middle, but Young had the better angle. You see how long Young, the shortstop, has to come to make this play. We get communication. We don't get to see him use that strong arm too much.
Here goes Nolan, first play of the season, and he got him at first. Tough play for Parker Nolan in his first start at third.
Yeah, a heck of a play. I thought he was going to have to barehand it to give him any chance of making a play, but a swinging bunt here. Gets a nice little hop, good transfer, a good strong throw, and a good stretch from his first baseman, Keegan. See a good angle there. That's a lot more of a difficult play than that was looked. A lot of times you kind of have to start your throw a little bit more up the line because your momentum is taking you towards the bag. A lot of times third basemen will throw that ball inside into the runner. But a very nice job from the new guy over there at third base, Nolan, at least for this year. Started a few games last year at that position.
Nolan was the DH for the first 8 games this year, and in the abbreviated 18 games that Vandy played in 2020, he started the final 14 at third base. Pushed Austin Martin out to center. 0-2 on Norton. Called strike 3. Third straight 1-2-3 inning for Kumar Rocker, and he's got 11 strikeouts through 6. Dansby Swanson's flag flowing in the wind here. 2-1 Vandy. Bottom of the 6th inning. Big leaguer flags all across the Hawk for every major league player that played under Tim Corbin. The current Commodores in a good battle. 2-1 into the bottom of the 6th inning. Vandy's got the lead on Parker Nolan's RBI single in the bottom of the 5th. 7, 8, and 9 in the Commodore order. Tate Colwick, Enrique Bradfield, and Jason Gonzalez against Jacob Key back out for his 6th inning of work. Colwick grounds the first pitch hard, foul past Tim Corbin. Colwick, the Vandy second baseman, on base both times today. A walk in the 2nd and a solid single to center in the 4th. Third trip through the Vandy order for Jacob Key, and he's been able to keep Vandy's bats off balance. Three straight foul balls to start this at bat.
Yeah, he's done a good job of mixing up his pitches, but also mixing up going in and out both sides of the plate. We just saw him come in on the hands of Colwick. Got good command of all parts of the zone.
Colwick bounces this one to Botcher. And there's one away on a team of predominantly Chicagoans and a few Northern Californians. Jacob Key from right around here, Siegel High School in Murfreesboro. And Andrew, your brother Brian Harris was on the staff at UIC for a couple of years when Key took his official visit.
Yeah, Brian, I asked Brian about Key, and he said, I didn't really have much to do with recruiting him, but definitely remembers when he came in on his official visit, and very excited about getting him in the program, just with his ability to throw strikes. And every time they threw him out, they knew they're going to give him a chance to win, and that's all you can really ask out of your pitcher.
Key, the Horizon League Pitcher of the Year in 2019, working to Enrique Bradfield Jr. Plenty of Chicagoans at Vandy, and now a Murfreesboro native at UIC, part of the exchange. 2-1 on Bradfield. Strikeout and a hit by pitch so far this game. Foul chopper into the dugout. And Enrique Bradfield has shown us, Andrew, he can do it all with his legs.
Yeah, he really can. I mean, this is just a routine ground ball that he's able to leg out. And then he takes first pitch, takes second, next pitch, takes third. Really just wreaks a lot of havoc out there. Causes that defense a lot of anxiety. You know, once you catch it, you got to get rid of it quick. And even guys like some slow rollers can cause them to not even get the ball because they're trying to make sure that they get it out quick enough.
And he can do that too. Line drives to the middle of the field, and Bradfield's got a one-out single.
Does a really good job just making good contact. Fastball, outside corner. Actually thought Key had a chance to snag that thing. Yeah, it looks like he's limping. He did get snagged in the left kneecap, hit by pitch, but hopefully he's okay.
Bradfield runs a 6'2", 60-yard dash.
And if you're not familiar, that's really fast.
Yes.
That's a fast 60.
Dominic Keegan said this week he's the fastest player I've ever played with. Imagine a lot of the Vandy roster would agree.
And for older guys like Cooper Davis, who've played in that outfield for a while, and Isaiah Thomas, who played in the outfield last year, for a guy to come in and just instantly get inserted in center field, they just want him to run around.
Gonzalez out to right. Smart's there for the second out. And on the defensive side, Bradfield's speed in center, and we finally saw him make a diving catch this game. Hadn't been tested much yet. It changes how you can position the corner guys.
Exactly. And Max, I'd say we haven't really been able to see it, but it's because he gets to those balls.
Right.
He doesn't have to dive for it. I mean, he makes those balls in the gap that he gets, makes it look like a routine play, but for an average guy out there running, I mean, probably wouldn't even be able to get there, but he can really track down some of those outfield balls. And as you mentioned, Max, play some of those corner guys a little bit closer towards the lines and steal some of those other balls. So it makes that outfield so much better once you have a guy out there like Bradfield that can run down some balls.
Davis bunts to first, and the inning's over. So Bradfield's single is it for Vandy in the bottom of the sixth. Commodores still up 2-1. Kumar Rocker not only becomes Vanderbilt's first starter to pitch into the sixth, but complete the sixth with 11 strikeouts.
Yeah, I got to see him extend it a little bit more today. Had a little bit of extra juice. Jumped up about 97, 98 on the gun today. Really had the slider working as well. I don't know how many sliders he threw, but got a lot of strikeouts. You see 11 on the day, only one walk.
He's replaced by Sam Leboki, sophomore right-hander, making his third appearance of the season. Was exceptional last year out of the bullpen 5 times. He made his first collegiate start a week ago today as part of Vandy's 4-game series against Georgia State. Went 4 full, struck out 7, gave up a solo homer, and that was it in a 5-4 win.
Yeah, this is a guy they really trust his strike throwing, similar to Jacob Key on the other side of the ball. Really like the combo of him coming right off of Rocker and even potentially lighter. Got a good fastball, but it's not really going to blow anything by you. About 91, 92, but got a good spin rate, and it kind of gets on top of you. He hides the ball really well.
6, 7, and 8 in the Flame lineup. Ryan Lynn Pystrup struck out both times against Rocker. Leboki's back even at 2-2. Third appearance of the season for the sophomore. First one was out of the bullpen. Following up Kumar Rocker, just like this one. Pitched a couple of scoreless innings against Wright State on February 22nd. First off speed we've seen from Leboki. Colwick charges for the first out. 1 up, 1 down for Leboki, and that is now 13 straight retired by Vandy pitching. Rocker finished up with 3 straight 1-2-3 innings, and he actually retired his final 3 in the third as well, which was when UIC's run scored on a drop third strike following a double, and then an RBI ground out by Josh Figueroa. Corey Moore swings and misses.
This is a good opportunity for Vandy playing in this close game. They haven't had many games that are this close later in the game, so opportunity for some of these other guys just pitching some more pressure filled situations with a little bit more on the line. Don't have as much breathing room.
Combined score of Vandy's last 3 games, 44-8.
But going down the stretch, I mean, you got to think those SEC games aren't going to be a lot of blowouts. It's going to be a lot more kind of the low-scoring, good pitching matchups with a number of arms that we know exist here in the SEC.
Out to play left field side.
But Leboki's a guy that they like to come to, potentially, as I mentioned, after Rocker or lighter, just because they trust him and they know he's going to throw those strikes. You always ask, how do you make a decision of guys that you're going to throw in relief in those different pressure-filled situations? It's just guys that you trust. And the way that they develop that trust is showing those consistent performances, as we saw last year from Leboki. That's why a lot of these early games are super important to see kind of what you got in your arsenal.
From 0-2 to 3-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Sam Leboki gets the strikeout on a high fastball.
And the fastball, is only at 90 miles an hour, but you saw a little bit of a late swing from Moore. The ball just gets on top of you. As I mentioned, it has a high spin rate, so it's really flying through the air there. It has more of the appearance of a 91, 92.
Cole Kahn up with 2 down. Freshman catcher doubled against Rocker in the second and struck out against Rocker in the fourth. Kumar done for the day after 6 full and 86 pitches. 1 run, 2 hits, 1 walk, 11 strikeouts. Vandy's retired 13 in a row since that run came home. Andrew, you think this is a situation where Leboki could go even the rest of this game?
Yeah, definitely. Again, they're just trying to see what people have got at this point. So if Leboki keeps keeping the ball in strike zone and he's only pitched 17 pitches, see how much longer he can go.
Carter Young in shallow left, and the Vandy Hurlers have dealt 4 straight 1, 2, 3 innings. We stretch. Vandy's up 2-1. Stretch time at the Hawk. Vandy Boys 2, UIC Flames 1 on a sunny Saturday afternoon as the shadows creep towards the pitcher's mound. And UIC goes to the bullpen for the first time this game. Jacob Key done after 6. He is replaced by Christian Lopez. Senior right-hander making his second appearance of the season. 6'2", 230 pounds. Valuable relief arm last season as you see those 2020 stats. Out for the second time this year and coming in a big spot.
Yeah, an opportunity to keep this game close in a one-run game. And coming up with a little bit more velo than you see really from the whole UIC pitching staff. About 90 to 93 with a fastball and good hard breaking ball as well. And more than anything, a fantastic stash.
Yeah.
Take a look at that.
Lopez in his second D1 season from Santa Ana, California, Century High School. So a couple of SoCal boys out of the bullpen here.
And actually, you mentioned the shadows. Definitely going to be an issue for those hitters. I mean, they're in the batter's box, and right before that ball gets towards the plate, I mean, it's just going to disappear in the shadows. So it could be a little bit more difficult for the next, I'd say, probably 30 minutes until that sun goes behind the press box. You don't get too many of those issues. It's only kind of early in the season as we have these 2 o'clock games.
Carter Young leads off for the Commodores. Couple of pull side extra base hits his last 2 times up. Solo homer to right center in the 3rd, and then a double towards the right field corner in the 5th. Scored both of Vandy's runs in this game.
I saw 93 right there on the gun. A little bit of juice from Lopez. Comes a high 3/4, so a lot of angle on that ball as well. You see a big guy.
Lopez spent his first 2 collegiate seasons at Cypress College in California in the JUCO ranks. It's also where Corey Moore, the first baseman, transferred in from. Scott Pickler, a great friend of the Vandy program, was the longtime head coach there. Now the head coach emeritus after retiring in 2016. Young grounds this one into right field for his 3rd straight hit.
Young really wearing out the right side of that field today. He's getting a lot of balls that are over the plate. He's able to wrap around there, this time right there in the 4 holes. Take a look at the swing. You'll notice that swing didn't look a lot different than his home run swing. Just kind of keeps it very consistent, very muted. Not a lot of antics with the swing with Young or really anybody in this lineup. Not a lot of gimmicks. Guys just kind of get up there, put the bat on the shoulder. Not really any like big leg kicks. Just try and keep it simplified, put the ball in play.
Ball 1. A couple of ricochets. Young now 5 out of 8 on the series. Homers in both games. Dom Keegan 1 for 3 today. His most recent out was a productive one. Flew out to left, advanced Young from 2nd to 3rd on the first out of the 5th, and Nola got him home with a 1-out single. Young takes off, throw to 2nd, safe.
It looked like Young got a pretty good jump on Lopez. He didn't have a huge lead, but a close play and a nice throw from catcher Kahn. Looks like that left hand got in just in time.
Young's got his first steal of the season. 1 for 1 as a freshman in 18 games last year.
That's a part of the game that I think Young can definitely grow into. I mean, he's got good base instincts and he's got good speed as well. He didn't have too many opportunities last year, but I think this year trying to take advantage of a little bit more of that part of his game.
2-0 pitch from Christian Lopez to Dominic Keegan. Keegan, the reigning SEC Player of the Week. 2 out of 6 this week so far here in the series against UIC. Lines that one foul. Young, a leadoff single through the right side and a stolen base, all with nobody out. Vandy trying to add on to a 2-1 advantage. Rip to left. Tresson going back. Off the base of the wall. Young was tagging, but he's going home. Relay play, and it's an RBI triple for Dom Keegan.
A lot of the home runs that are hit, I think, are just going to be doubles. That one I thought was out of here in a hurry. It just kind of died right there, bounced off the bottom of the fence, and Tresson, the left fielder, had a little bit of issue getting it. And take a look at Keegan. Realizes it's off the bottom, starts heading for second. Has to make sure that his teammate has gone from third all the way to home, but able to take third base, and a huge triple to get an insurance run for the Commodores.
It was almost a double with no RBI. Young was at third by the time Keegan got to second. Parker Noland at bat with a 3-1 advantage, and it's been these three in the middle of the Vandy order, responsible for all of it.
Yeah, I really did think that was a no-doubter off the bat, but looking at some of the flags, I do think the wind's blowing in a pretty good bit.
Another RBI single for Parker Noland, and it's 4-1 Vandy.
The Commodores continue to wear out that 4-hole. UIC was playing in, so he didn't have a great angle to make a play on that, but nice effort by Moore at first base, but wasn't able to get a glove on it. And Parker Noland, a good day in the field, starting at third base today, and a good day at the plate too.
RBIs 8 and 9 on the season for him this afternoon. Thomas fouls that one off. So the 2, 3, and 4 spots in the Vandy order. Young, Keegan, and Noland today. 7 out of 12. All 4 runs, all 4 RBIs, and 3 extra base hits. Christian Lopez, first man out of the bullpen for UIC. Ahead 0-2 on Thomas. Thomas walked in the second, then struck out in the fourth, popped out in the fifth, all against Jacob Key, the starter. Bobby Nicholson did yeoman's work out of the bullpen last night, making sure nobody else had to come out of the pen yesterday for the Flames. Went 5 full innings. And they're down 6-0.
Yeah, that was the big concern for UIC, getting down. Was using up a lot of those guys in the pen, but as you mentioned, Nicholson able to save some of those arms.
He started the third game of last year's version of this series. Tomorrow will be Ryan O'Reilly, the 5th-year senior right-hander. Good pitch from Christian Lopez for his first strikeout.
It looked like a nice changeup going in underneath the hands. Some good drop on Thomas. Not a bad job from Lopez this inning. Just a couple balls that the Commodores have hit hard. He's come in and thrown strikes. If he can just get a ground ball and potentially get out of it. With just a few given up.
Rodriguez on base 2 out of 3 times today. 6th place hitting Vandy catcher. Runner goes. Another stolen base, and Nolan lost his lid.
I think he lost his lid because he got a knee to the face. We'll take a look here. Lynn Pystrip has to come into the runner to catch the throw from Kahn. It does look like catches the face of Nolan. Actually, Nolan might have gotten a cleat in the face as well. It looks like he's all right.
Nolan now 2 for 2 stealing bags this season. 4 for 4 in his college career. His 26th collegiate game out there at second base. Rodriguez on the ground, knocked down by Norton, but he can't hold it and everybody's safe. First and third with 1 down as Rodriguez picks up an infield single.
And not a bad job by Norton. I think if he would have let that through and let Lynn Pystrip catch it behind him, I don't know if he would even have an opportunity to get Rodriguez going down to first base, but did a good job at least knocking it down and potentially saving a run.
11th Vandy hit of the ball game. Commodores 4 runs on 11 hits. UIC 1 run on 2 hits. Kolwick looking to put a safety squeeze on. Nothing doing on the back pick to first.
You had runners at first and third. Kolwick, as you mentioned, Max trying to potentially put one down. Once that ball is down, the runner at third able to score. Vandy definitely uses that safety squeeze a good amount.
He gets him for strike 2 on the slider.
But even the threat of the safety squeeze, I mean, it puts the first baseman anchored at home because you get the runner at first, but you also draw that third baseman in a little bit more, so it opens up those 4 and 6 holes a little bit if you do wrap around one.
Pops up the 0-2, foul out of play. Remains no balls, 2 strikes on Tate Kolwick. One ball, 2 strikes. Four hits for Vandy in the inning against Christian Lopez out of the bullpen. Nolan at third, Rodriguez at first. Kolwick hits this one to right center field. Deep enough to get the run in as Smart makes the catch. Nolan tags and scores, and it's 5-1 Vandy Boys.
That ball is not carrying out there. Good swing of the bat, but wind definitely keeps it inside the park, but deep enough as we see Nolan tagging up at third base. Smart catching it. Plenty of time. That's all you're trying to do as a hitter. Just get that ball deep enough to get that sac fly. Commodores able to put a number of runs this inning.
3 runs on 4 hits and a sac fly. Bradfield singled up the middle last inning. UIC led 1-0 in the top of the third. Carter Young answered with a solo homer in the bottom. Vandy took their first lead in the bottom of the 5th. Young doubled to lead it off, and Nolan singled him in. Now this inning, Young led off with a single. Keegan a triple off the base of the left field wall. That made it 3-1. Noland an RBI single through the right side of the infield made it 4-1. And that sac fly from Kolwick makes it 5. Bradfield fouls that one off. Vandy in search of their 5th straight win here on this season opening 11-game homestand. It was supposed to be 12, only got 2 out of 3 in against Wright State opening weekend. Lopez ready with a 1-2. Vandy has been putting up crooked numbers with frequency over these last 2 weekend series. Three runs in this bottom of the 7th. Bradfield taps this one, fair ball. Kahn picks it up. Nope, foul ball. Stays 2-2.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was foul ball on possibly hitting Bradfield, if it was where he was picked it up. We'll take a look here. I don't know.
I think it was on the bounce.
I think it was.
Ended up in foul territory. Kahn wanted it to stay fair for him. Tried again, our second 2-2. Fouled off. Bradfield's seen 6 pitches this AB.
Yeah, and this isn't foreign to Bradfield. I mean, he's done a really good job with 2 strikes all season. Only 5 strikeouts on the season for Bradfield. Sorry, make that 6, including today.
Swing and a miss. Lopez goes off speed and gets out of the inning, but Vandy adds 3 runs on 4 hits to make it 5-1 Commodores. College World Series MVP, 19 strikeout no-hitter, and now in between innings stretch leader. What can Kumar Rocker do? 6 innings of work today, and Vandy looking to get him a win.
Yeah, Rocker rocking the starfish stretch out there. But yeah, heck of a performance from him today. Just keeps getting better every time he gets out there. Leboki came in, been lights out for him. And the pitching staff, I mean, we knew it was going to be talented coming into this season, but it really has lived up to the hype. Been very impressed with a lot of the young guys that have come in and a lot of the guys who we saw a little bit last year, but getting some more reps this year.
Rocker allowed just 1 run in 15 innings through 3 starts this season. Sam Leboki's 2nd inning of work. The 2 of them have combined for 4 straight 1-2-3 innings. Brian Rosario is the 9th place hitter. Takes strike 1 from Leboki with the slider. Rosario, Thomas Smart, and Matt Botcher for UIC. Tap of the chest to activate the 2-strike approach. Fouled off. Rosario looking to be the rally starter for the Flames, now down 5-1. They led 1-0 in the 3rd, and he slaps this one into left field for a hit. Davis digs it out as Rosario heads for second with a double.
A nice job pushing the envelope from Rosario, and that ball hit down in the left field. Davis had a good opportunity to make a good throw to second base, but finally able to get there and take a look at the slider on the outside corner. Does a good job going with it. Looks like it kind of kicked a little bit towards the fence as Davis gets it. I feel like if Davis had a better throw, would have had a better opportunity to get him out there at second base, but UIC just trying to get something going.
Second double of the series for Brian Rosario. His first 2 extra base hits as a D1 player. Passing the torch to Thomas Smart, leadoff man, hit by a pitch in the first. A strikeout and a line out to right since, all against Rocker. Here's Leboki's 0-1. Fastball strike.
Smart, a no batting gloves guy. Don't see much of those in these days. We see Jack Bulger start off the season for the Commodores, who is playing in place of Cooper Davis, but always good to see the old school look.
Couple of number 16s. And if I'm not mistaken, was Penn Murphy another no batting gloves guy? Also
so.
a number 16?
Also number 16.
Murphy now a pitcher in the Mariners organization. Here's a 1-2. '20-year-old Sam Leboki on the mound for the Commodores. The LA native piggybacking off of Kumar Rocker on this Saturday afternoon. 3-2. Liner played off of Colwick's chest and into right field. Rosario heads home and scores. UIC answers and cuts it to 5-2.
That's another good opportunity or a good example of some potential sun issues for Colwick. It's tough to see the ball off the bat. He also had second base umpire Jeff Bottoms might have been in the way as well, so he wasn't able to get a good read on it. Regardless, it got off his chest, and UIC able to score one across.
So UIC scores for the first time since the 3rd inning. They hadn't even had a base runner since then, until Rosario's leadoff double. Botcher going to try and keep this thing going. He's been on base twice. Walked in the first against Rocker, doubled and scored that first run in the 3rd. To short, Young, Colwick, double play. Well turned by the Vandy infield.
Yeah, great job by Leboki, just getting right back in there after the run scores, getting a double play ball. Nice turn by his middle infield. Started here by Young, a little flip. Good job by Colwick getting to the bag. Actually had to come a good ways. I think he was playing a little bit further over in the 4-hole.
Pinch hitter for the Flames, Bobby Grimes. His first at bat of the season. Junior college transfer from Triton College in Illinois. Potential starter in the corner outfield, and he bats in place of the left fielder Tresson. Grimes did not appear in their opening weekend series against Florida International. His first D1 at bat, and he strikes out. So Sam Leboki gives up a run, but comes back with a double play and a strikeout. 5-2 Vandy, headed to the bottom of the 8th. UIC gets one back in the top of the 8th. 5-2 Commodores. With a chance to add on here in the bottom of the 8th. And Bobby Grimes, who pinch hit for Brett Tresson, stays in left field. So a straight switch. Max Hers and Andrew Harris still here for game 2 out of 3. It'll be Jack Leiter and Ryan O'Reilly on the mound tomorrow at 1 Central. Also here on SEC Network Plus. 9-1-2 for the Doors against Christian Lopez, back out for his 2nd inning of relief. Jason Gonzalez, Cooper Davis, and Carter Young. Gonzalez 0 for 3 today, a strikeout and a couple outs in the air. Swing and a miss, and an explosion of rosin from Christian Lopez.
With the sun just beaming straight down on the pitcher, you see every little thing flying off. Saw that rosin fly off, but tough again for hitter to pick up that ball, going right into the shadow as it gets halfway.
Chopper to short, Lynn Pystrup for the first out. Vandy got 3 off of Lopez in the bottom of the 7th. Cooper Davis will be the 9th man he faces. Lynn Pystrup, as advertised at shortstop, great infield defender.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job of seeming to make a couple of good plays yesterday and today. All around the infield, these guys do such a great job. As I mentioned last night, they do have a turf field up in Chicago, so very familiar with this type of surface. Coach Sean McDermott and Coach Mike D do a really good job of getting these guys ready. They really work a lot on the infield positioning. As you saw a good look at those difficult shadows in between the pitcher and the batter.
Cooper Davis 0 for 4 today. 2nd game back from a broken nose, wearing that softball style cage on his batting helmet. 3-0. Three and 1 now on Davis. Davis was one of the captains for Vanderbilt's Black and Gold Intra-Squad Series at the end of the fall season. His black team, a.k.a. Team Canada, took the best 2 out of 3.
I don't think he had any influence on naming that one.
The Mississauga, Ontario native. Chops another one to first. Corey Moore there. 2 up, 2 down. Davis and Jason Gonzalez, the first 2 batters of this inning, and the 2 senior position players were the 2 captains. Cooper Davis said when they were picking teams, playground style, he went with his gut. Didn't take more than 15 seconds on any pick. And accused Jason Gonzalez of being more methodical. Those 2 guys have made outs. How about the middle of this Vandy lineup? Young, Keegan, and Nolan.
Pretty solid. You see 7 for 12. 5 runs. That's what you want out of the middle part of your order. Guys that can produce.
Young's last 3 plate appearances, a homer, a double, and a single. Scored all 3 times in Vandy's 3 scoring innings. Young ahead in the count, 2 balls and 1 strike. Two and 2.
Saw Young think about that. He wanted it a little high. Seeing the ball well. Definitely giving himself the green light to take some hacks. But now 2-2, got to go to work.
Hard grounder. Second baseman Botcher was deep, and he completes the 1-2-3 inning. 1-2-3 frame for Lopez. Last licks for UIC, down 5-2. The Vandy Boys are 3 outs away from their 5th straight win. 7-1 on the season, looking to make it 8-1. Kumar Rocker went 6. Sam Leboki pitched the 7th and the 8th. And now Luke Murphy, the junior, on to close it out. Had control troubles last season, Andrew. Walked 9 of the 18 batters he's faced. This year, just 1 base runner through 4 scoreless innings of relief.
Yeah, he's done such a great job so far this year. You look at the difference in the strikes versus balls. I mean, 4 strikeouts to 9 walks in 2020 and 8-1 here so far this year. Back in 2020, really having some issues just with some control. And actually, you were able to talk with him for some good time, and he mentioned that it was more so just mental than anything. It wasn't really anything with his mechanics, and it wasn't until his summer coach told him to, hey, just throw it right in the strike zone.
He's basically heard that message twice now from Mike Rupenthal, his Northwoods League head coach, who's also a junior college pitching coach. And Scott Brown, his pitching coach at Vandy, saying, hey, just throw strikes.
Right.
If they can hit it, hit it.
Yeah.
And so far this year, they have not.
Exactly. Yeah, he just said, hey, throw it in the zone. You don't have to get too cute with it. He's got good enough stuff. I mean, the fastball is in the upper 90s. If they put it in play, it's probably not going to be well hit. I think that just really able to free him up. And he has been lights out so far this year as we see 2 quick strikes.
Fastball's right on the outside part of the plate to Josh Figueroa. 4, 5, and 6 in the Flames order. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Luke Murphy pumping 96.
And it was just 3 straight fastballs. And that thing was right down the middle, doing exactly what Coach Rupenthal said. Throw it down the middle, probably not even going to hit it.
Murphy has now struck out 9 of the 14 batters he's faced this season. Thomas Norton was 0 for 3 against Rocker, and he stays away at 96. Half swing, no swing on the appeal to first. First ball from Murphy after 4 fastball strikes. Line drive foul. Murphy did a couple of things last week he hadn't done in a game before. He pitched on back-to-back days, and then he went 2 innings in an outing.
Yeah, with the outings he's had so far, I was wondering if they might move him kind of into a closer role. And just with the electric stuff that he has, I think that's what they're trying to do here, see if he can shut the door.
Norton fouls off another one. Stays 2 balls and 2 strikes. A pitch that missed up and in was the first slider we'd seen from Murphy. There's another inside. Full count pitch. Fouled off. Norton's seen 7.
Yeah, nice hitting here by Norton. He's seen the fastball. He's seen the breaking ball. Seen the ball up in the zone. Let's see where Murphy goes here.
Grounded, fair pass first. UIC's got a 1-out base runner, down 3 in the 9th.
A great AB there from Norton. He's able to finally get a pitch he can handle. A fastball in the outside corner, stays inside and scoots it right inside the bag. Sometimes that's all it takes. Just get one runner on, get that pitcher in the stretch.
Tim Corbin's out of the Vandy dugout to talk to home plate umpire Jordan Farrell. Maybe asking for a review here. Could that have been close on a fair foul?
I'm not sure. From our angle, it looked like it was easily inside the bag, but we'll take a look here. You also got to think, first place umpire Jeff Wright, I mean, he was right on the line. He had the best view of anybody.
If that ball landed in front of the base, it's not a reviewable play.
Right.
But also that means it's not the first base umpire's call either.
Right.
So the play is not reviewable. And it remains a one-out single and the first hit allowed by Luke Murphy this season. Here's Ryan Lynn Pystrup. Right back to the outside with the heater. Lynn Pystrup struck out twice against Rocker and grounded out to second against Leboki in the 7th. Grounder to third. Nolan to second for one. Vandy Boys win! Luke Murphy finishes it off, and the Commodores take the series.
And a heck of a job for Luke Murphy. I mean, he got the runner on, able to get a good ground ball, shut the door with a double play. I mean, great work all the way around by the Commodore pitching staff. Started off by Rocker, and Commodores got some runs across and got the series.
Rockers 3-0. We'll be back tomorrow at 1 Central with Jack Leiter and Ryan O'Reilly. Vanderbilt takes game 2, 5-2. So for Andrew Harris, our producer Doug Stanton, director Travis Porterfield, and our amazing crew here at Vandy, I'm Max Hers. Hope you enjoyed this one. Commodores win at 5-2. This has been a presentation of ESPN.